No one hates Halo quite like Halo fans. It's been a rite of passage for about any Halo game that has ever existed, dating back to when Halo 2 first hit the scene, where fans or extremely die-hard fans came out of the woodwork to have their say on what Halo should look like, and how this new iteration is currently not aligning with that idea. And lo and behold, it's happening again. Halo Campaign Evolved launched into its early access period recently, meaning that fans of Halo have finally got their hands on the game after months and months of waiting. And since that launch, there has been a substantial amount of debating and speculation on what exactly Halo Campaign Evolved exists to do, and even if Halo CE deserved a remake in this fashion. And the results have been, let's just say, mixed. Firstly, I want to make my point really clear before I get into it. Halo Campaign Evolved is a fantastic iteration and reimagining of Halo in the modern era. The game itself has never looked so good, and lighting pops in a way that makes the game feel downright realistic at times. Level design has been reimagined to be less of a slog, and some areas have been vastly improved to make up for a lot of lore inconsistencies. And quite possibly my favorite thing is how the art style has been faithfully done in a way that makes everything look and feel like Halo. But with all of that comes some caveats, such as dialogue feeling less excitable and falling flat at times, or cutscenes that were just cut in order to make the runtime feel a bit smoother, or even jarring transitions from gameplay to cutscenes. All of these points are valid and definitely deserve to be called out and hopefully improved. However, a lot of, well, fans have been criticizing and complaining about things that make no sense, rather than the valid criticism of things that the game actually does wrong. We have shit like this.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Firstly, this is just absolutely hysterical to me. There is a subset of Halo quote-unquote fans that go on to say that Halo Campaign Evolved breaks lore by simply having a female ODST soldier in the game, which has got to be one of the worst takes I've ever seen. Halo has had female ODSTs multiple times. I swear to God, some people haven't even played the games at this point. Or they're just rage baiting for some political standpoint about games being too woke. Because unless I'm crazy, which I'm not, this is the thing in Bungie's era too. During the events of the Halo novel The Flood, we are introduced to Melissa McKay, who is not only an ODST, but one of the only ODSTs in history to ever look up to the Master Chief. It's not insane for a sci-fi military shooter to feature women. You absolute baboons. Y'all have to realize that women are in active military service even today, even in specialized roles. So this take is bonkers and does nothing but hurt Halo's fanbase. I get if you want to complain about writing or dialogue, some of those points are valid, but simply attacking her because she's a woman is weak logic. She's not even a terribly written character either. She acts like what I would expect an ODST to act like towards a Spartan during this time. As Johnson says, Spartans and Helljumpers have a history.
You don't seem as impressed as the rest of your crew.
No, Sergeant Major, I'm not. Takes more than fancy armor and a good PR campaign to impress me.
Which leads me into this second thing, these comments. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the dialogue in the bonus missions are good. They're not. But they're not that bad either. Having an ODST dislike a Spartan is actually very on brand for them, which seems to be the primary complaint I'm noticing here. That Williams should look up to Master Chief and be ecstatic at his presence, which honestly is kind of a dumb thing to be upset about. Again, in lore, ODSTs usually despise Spartans, viewing them as nothing but walking propaganda, as Spartans became public propaganda during the war. ODSTs hated that because they always viewed them as some sort of freaks, genetically modified freaks in power armor. Spartans are the reason that the war was won, sure, but it didn't mean that everyone in the UNSC had to like them. As the mission progresses, Williams even outright says that they may never see eye to eye, but you have my thanks. She's quite literally grateful for Chief saving them during this mission. It's just weird that of all the things that you could complain about this game, these people decide to complain about something that's been established in Halo lore for the longest time. Again, dating back to the Bungie era. It's not like Halo Studios woke up one day and decided this was a new dynamic they wanted to explore. This has been established. This has been a thing in Halo for the longest time. Again, referring back to Halo The Flood, which is an old novel. It came out circa CE, right? Major Sylvia also said that he didn't respect Spartans and had a very agnostic approach to the way that he viewed Chief and Spartans. And again, he was the leader of the battalion of the entire ODST squadrons on the Pillar of Autumn. So this is not a new thing at all. If you want to dislike things, sure, there are plenty of things about the bonus missions that suck. Hell, I firmly stand on the corner of feeling like this game was just rushed out of the gate. The voice acting, for one, is super inconsistent. Sometimes it's great and it feels natural. Other times you can really tell someone is reading lines in a booth. And this can really ruin the immersion and drag you right out of the game at times. Not to mention how fucking stupid the AI is sometimes, which compared to the original AI is almost laughable. These are real valid criticisms of the game, where the game itself is the problem, where issues drag you out of the immersion of the game. But the ones that are complaining about women never being ODSTs or that they loved Spartans are not valid criticisms, because it's simply not true, and all it does is fuel a narrative that doesn't need to exist. If anything, Halo Campaign Evolved goes as far as to try and fix some of the lore inconsistencies that were present in Halo CE and the wider Halo universe at the time, including fixing the more to make it make more sense. During the original Halo CE, when on track to be picked up by Foehammer, there's a giant empty space between the Autumn that just doesn't make any sense for a spacefaring ship like the Autumn. It was added for gameplay purposes, sure, but it was still an inconsistency that existed. But now, with Campaign Evolved, this is fixed. This giant gap between the two halves of the Pillar of the Autumn is now just an area of damaged debris that split the Autumn in half, and it still has a working bridge connection between them. It's clear that this was probably the original intention with CE, and even if it's not, it's just a fantastic addition that makes the game feel more believable. But a lot of people don't share the same sentiment. There are substantial complaints about the game's art style and how it's not accurate to what Bungie's era of Halo looked like. As if Bungie ever kept the same art style for longer than one game at a time anyways. These are additions that make Campaign Evolved feel like a genuine evolution of what Halo CE was. Personally, I think a lot of people will like this art style across the entire game. All of it feels like Halo. You know, there's the cold, barren feeling of 2 Betrayals and the gloomy, dark uneasiness of 343 Guilty Spark. The part of CE that is most important to me is the gameplay and the art style is intact. And for the most part, both of those things are. Everything feels like a modernization of what I thought CE would look like if it was made today. And make no mistake, that is a compliment in all the ways it's meant to be. Halo CE was a masterpiece when it first launched, but it hasn't exactly aged like wine. It's dated and unfortunately slow. And when I want to introduce someone to Halo, I usually don't recommend CE to start. And it's not because it's a bad game by any means, it's just that most people don't have the patience for running through the same level design, but backwards multiple times. It's something that is understood for the time when it came out, being on the original Xbox and the hardware capabilities, but it's a tall order to ask for people these days. Campaign Evolved fixes a lot of this. Areas such as the library, which were considered a slog by many, have been reworked to have different gameplay mechanics spread throughout, so it isn't just the same room over and over and over again. It refreshes it and changes the level so you feel like you're actually progressing through the mission, rather than just slogging through it so it finally ends. The flood infection, as you get deeper, gets worse and worse, showing just how quickly the flood actually spreads. It's an incredible change, and I feel like it's the best version of the library that you can actively play today. I even like the addition of pure forms, which from a lore perspective can still make sense if the Forerunners were keeping them for study. Look, there are some genuine, real problems with Campaign Evolved. I mentioned the dialogue before, but the transitions to cutscenes are jarring as well. I just wish the complaints about this game were focused on the actual problem areas, because Campaign Evolved really has some outlandish shit that needs to get addressed. Like, look at this cutscene. There's just a prophet chilling in the open and neither Chief or Johnson fire on him, which makes no sense because they should want to eliminate any high-value targets at any cost, including prophets. And don't get me started on the animation quality for some of these cutscenes. My goodness. These are the real problems that this game actually has. Not the fact that Cortana isn't something that you can goon to, or that women aren't ODSTs, or that the art style isn't Halo enough. But the real problems, like the dialogue, or the AI, or how commandeering a Banshee has no elite inside, or when switching seats in the Warthog has no fucking animation, or bullets not pathing correctly from vehicles. There is a lot of things that Campaign Evolved does right, but there's so much more that it does wrong. But I guarantee you, a female ODST that dislikes Spartans isn't one of them. I have a couple of videos coming out soon listing my problems with Campaign Evolved in a far more detailed and oriented style, as well as a review soon for the entirety of the game. But my feelings are pretty clear. I think Campaign Evolved is great, but it's not amazing by any means. There's real issues that clearly show the game was rushed. And this is what the conversation should be about. Not stupid shit like this. Thanks for watching.